Ready? Go.
Oh. Hey everyone, my name is Bailey Goebel. I'm from Bebob Studios. I'm here to talk about my new IP. Now, before I start going into details about what the game's about, I'm going to show you a little clip showing a bit of the concept and the general theme of the game. Okay then, what is Blackwell? Blackwell is a first-person horror psychological game about a story-driven game about a man called David Gray, who is a man who had lost his wife a year previously, and is now dealing with a mental illness called schizophrenia. And I will talk a bit more about that later. And he comes back to his old job as a Miami private investigator, and is off on a case to find a missing person at the Blackwell Hotel. Hence the title of the game. He starts seeing illusions and things that break from reality. So he starts seeing horrific visual representations of his wife when he goes around a corner, enters a different room, or sees visions of her chasing after him around this hotel. Just a bit of concept art and a bit of floor plan of what I would believe the game would be like. Now, what is schizophrenia? Well, a lot of medical scientists can't exactly tell you what schizophrenia is. It's different for everybody. It usually goes into a case of when somebody has a dramatic loss and they feel they are separated from reality. Their world around them has completely changed. And this is something that David Gray has to deal with throughout the whole entire game. Now, I haven't exactly got gameplay that can demonstrate what this game, how schizophrenia will play in this game, but I do have a little video here that will demonstrate a first-person perspective of someone who does have schizophrenia with modern-day life. The video is a little bit long, but I will cut it a bit short and skip along to show different elements of schizophrenia.
Worthless is waking up now. Oh, the phone woke him up. Don't answer. He'll know who you are.
You're a waste of space.
Why are you so stupid?
Waste of our time.
Stupid. So stupid. Worthless. We hate you.
He's gonna pick up the phone.
I'll know if you lie. Something wrong.
Poison.
I'll skip along, you'll get the idea that there's some sort of voices in his head that
Don't eat.
puts him down just, and sort of
Poison.
makes fun of him, gets his paranoia really high and mighty.
Drink that coffee.
Why are you so worthless? Weather. Something wrong.
You know what? No, it just comes out on the weekend. You hear that word? Let it go easy.
Something wrong. Weather.
What are you going to do about it?
Something wrong. You have to stop it.
You're going to
sir. You're stupid to open that door. He has to open the door now.
Here you go. Don't do it.
He'll be in trouble. Poison.
This is for you.
This is for you. He's working with them. He's part of the plot. This is for you.
Right. I think you guys generally get the idea of how this sort of element will work in the game in the first person perspective and hearing voices in the head. Now, this is something that David Gray has to deal with for the whole entire game. He has very constant things throughout the game, so being cutscenes or when he's by himself, moments to himself, he'll start hearing voices in his head, getting him paranoid, telling him to mistrust people that he knows. And this is something that happens all the way through the game. And for the character, he has to deal with this with medication. And prior to the world of the game, where you start off, he has been having trips with his psychiatrist. He's been thinking that he can handle this by now, but going back to the hotel and having reminders and similarities to his past starts to trigger schizophrenia. So these are the key elements of schizophrenia that will happen throughout the game. He will see hallucinations. There will be sections of the game, so he will, let's say he's isolated in the hotel floor. He's trying to figure out clues and information. He will end up entering a room and going to a whole entirely different environment. So he might live past elements of his past, or with his wife, and bringing up. And this is also a way for the player to piece the information of what happened to his past. Constant voices getting paranoid, something the player would randomly spike throughout the game. Hearing voices getting the character all wound up, bit of a pump up, I guess. Also for paranoia and also feeling isolated. You have to feel in this game that you are alone. Inspiration for my game, I draw a heavy influence from the Silent Hill franchise, where a character is dealing with some form of loss and feeling very isolated from the world in his own little space. Heavy Rain going for more of the deeper meaning, the emotions behind the characters, what the characters go through, and the general environment and look and graphics of the game, because I want this game to be very photorealistic. I think it's important for the player to feel like he's immersed within the game, like he's in through the eyes and embodiment of David Gray. Here's a bit of the gameplay. So it will be a first-person perspective of the game, so you will be seeing exactly through his eyes. So you'll be going around the hotel floors, you'll be finding information related to the case to why you're there, but I won't go into much information about it. So yeah, there will be a gun in the game, as an odd mechanic for a horror game to give you a weapon instead of running away like most modern horror games will do. Well, for a mechanic in this game, you will be having to go around the corridors. You'll be chased by this delusion of your wife chasing after you. Those horrific things that I showed earlier in the concept art. So he'll have a gun. He'll have limited ammo throughout he gets through each level. It'll probably change within the cutscenes, and you can the character will be able to shoot the delusion, and it'll disappear, and it'll reset to somewhere else throughout the hotel. It doesn't stop it. It's more of just a way of preventing the delusion to come after you and get David before his mind breaks with accepting what's going on. Yeah, more of the HUD, simple HUD design for the ammo. It will be quite limited. And I like sort of simplicity horror, because a lot of horror games have a very little HUDs and very simplicity, so it's not too much to focus on, so you actually feel like you're immersed in what's going on. Yeah, for my audience, I believe it has to be an 18. This is a game that will contain uses of drugs, which David Gray will go through. It will contain fear, it might have sexual references, and it will have violence and definitely bad language. This is a game for a more mature audience in my mind. Now, when it comes to the audience, I did go for a survey to see which people would be more interested in this game. So I asked people what gender were out of 22 people. Majority of the people who were interested in the game were more of a male audience. And if I asked majority of them, out of the 22 people, if they would be interested in a game like this, if they were interested in see where it would go. The majority of them said yes, about 90% said yes. Then, from the ending of my survey, I did ask the people, I told them straightforward what my concept of the game is, and I told them what parts would you change, did you like the concept, and if you could change anything, what would it be? And I got very quickly like already sounds good, have parts of the memories and horrific scenes come into his day-to-day life, so you can't tell which section of the game will be his delusion, and it's just seeking into his normal day life, so it just happen randomly with the character. Another one is that people think it would be better if the player never really discovered if the character, David Gray, had a mental illness. There was all a mystery, so that part was excluded for the player to make up with their minds. For building my game, I'm deciding to go for the Unreal Engine because it allows me to create a 3D space and produce photorealistic graphics if I really put in the effort into it. The budget, because it's designed for a modern audience, and I'm going up for the so like platformers of a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Steam. It has to be for quite a wide audience. I want to grab the population for the people. So it's not going to be an indie game. It's going to be within my studio, a group of people here and there. And I looked back at one of my references of I looked back, which inspired me, was Heavy Rain, and it cost exactly 16.7 million to make. And to be fair, that was a very large company, and I'm just starting, so I don't have that money to produce that. So, and if I have to go to get a publisher to bring in the money, I have to make, for modern day graphics to be photorealistic, I have to go for a very high budget for 30 million. The sound quality, the graphics, the advertisements, everything for the game. For personal development, for me personally, I'm more of the Photoshop guy. I'm a guy who creates the logos, the titles, the posters, the advertisements. My strongest aspect, I guess, within creating the game. But for this project, I get to design a 3D environment and really go in deep with creating a very atmospheric game that you feel like you're trapped in, you're scared, it gets you on the edge of your seat when you're playing the game. Any questions?
So I'm really interested in the whole schizophrenia aspect of the game. I really like the idea of the two voices, or more, I guess, in the head. So at any given point in the gameplay, is it like a kind of detective thing? What it's like, you know, he's walking about the hotel, he's solving a case, isn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to find a missing person.
Yeah, so at any point, is there always going to be one right answer in their head, or are the voices going to influence any of the... will they tell you what to do at some point? Maybe they, I guess they'll be going against each other, so could you have like one's right, one's
you mean
wrong,
like a
or
good
will it
versus
kind
evil
of,
sort of
or
thing?
will it kind of, yeah, like, or will it like switch between, so
judging
sometimes
on
one's right?
No, it's something that I think I'm going to have a variety of voices that could possibly, like, because you're going to hear the characters in her head, so you can hear like what he's actually thinking at the time, because he's thinking that the whole world's against him. He's isolated, like he's alone in his own world, and everyone's trying to take everything away from him, since he barely have anything left but his job. And he's going to hear voices that will tell him, "You're a waste of space. You're wasting your time. No one's ever going to like you." And then you'll have voices that will tell him that he's a great guy, and then he'll have people telling him, "You could do this, you can do that,"
So,
and sending on the character player through a loop through the game.
yeah, so like an inside-out aspect of you have to, like, you have joy and sadness, and not that simplified, of course, but
Yeah.
So you take meds to suppress the schizophrenia.
This is, yeah, sort of. You take this inspiration was very heavily influenced from the Max Payne series. You know,
Yeah,
a man
I've
who's
got.
very addicted to medication, so he takes it to help him back. So I was thinking maybe an element of the game. I should have touched upon.
No, that's fine. I've got that. I've sort of wondered if it linked like that, so it was something that you had to.
Maybe the character will have to, because a lot of hotels have bathrooms that'll have medication in it.
Yeah.
And that he'll have to go through the levels, get the medication, and it helps die down his illusion, so it doesn't go so rapid.
Right.
With other games.
So if you took the meds, then it would suppress or reduce the amount of times that you would encounter the enemy, or would it like reduce the amount of like background noise so you could think more clearly, or?
I would say maybe die down the volume of the voices in his head so it isn't so painfully clear that you can hear that it's overhearing the audio.
Okay.
Probably die down the encounter that you have with these delusions.
Yeah.
But probably not the sort of ones that, like I said, where you enter a room and he relives past memories, because I think that's a key moment for players to understand David Gray and what he's been through before the previous elements of the game.
Yeah. Is it sort of like in the Far Cry 2, like overcoming the malaria thing? Is it a mechanic where you have to find medication around a hotel? Yeah. Okay, cool. Nick?
Will there be like an element like if you, I don't know, you suffer too much from the schizophrenia, you would be able to like, I don't know, perhaps kill yourself or overdose or something?
Go for a real dark element. I think if the character doesn't take medication for a long period of time, the more rapid these delusions of Karen will become more and more apparent. It'll be more aggressive to the player. So it'll be quick, it'll be faster, it will be happen more quickly than the player would expect it to. So you actually feel like this illness is actually taking over the character, or in many senses taking over the game entirely.
In terms of the character being a white male, what was the rationale behind that for the selection of that?
What common things do with games, they usually target, when they design a character, is to make it very roughly sort of appealing to the audience. And most people are attracted to is a young man who's usually is tough, he can do everything his own. And I feel like the whole idea with the scruff beard, him, it looks like he's not taking care of himself, but he's still slightly visually appealing to the player, so he does feel like he's emotionally connected to him.
Okay. Cool. The other thing is the issue of covering something like that as schizophrenia is quite a sensitive issue in terms of, you know, what kinds of levels or measures would you take to ensure that you don't cause offence or.
It's a very sensitive topic to talk about with schizophrenia. It can really upset the audience. And I have done a little bit of research. I've watched a few documentaries. I do actually have a family relative who does have schizophrenia, so I do have a connection with knowing how it can be portrayed within the game, and it should really be portrayed in a very appropriate way with the player. I don't want to make it out like David Gray or anybody with schizophrenia is crazy, but more of a sense of how scary that can be for the person who does have schizophrenia.
Okay, great. Oh, you didn't show that, did you, or did you?
I forgot.